The following program is sponsored by Freedom Financial Group, Greater Birmingham's premier retirement planning specialists.
Welcome to Retiring Well, where it's our job to help you enjoy financial security in any economy. All right, we've got a great show lined up for you today. First, it's tax season. We're right in the middle of it. I want to share with you what your biggest tax exposure is, very likely, and we're going to talk about why no one is even talking about it. Can't do anything if you don't know what's going on. Next, we're going to talk to your local retirement planning specialist. We're going to get our finger on the pulse with tax planning in your community. And then finally, I have a terrific IRA blow-up to share with you this week. You don't want to miss it. So stay tuned. We will be right back.
Retiring Well with Michael Reese, providing financial security in any economy. Today is the day you can take control of your financial future and eliminate worrying about your money forever. Retiring Well with Michael Reese, featuring Chartered Retirement Planning Counselor Tad Hill, founder of Freedom Financial Group in Birmingham.
Today we're starting with taxes. It is tax season, and what did I tell you? I told you that there is something out there that you probably own that has a lot of tax exposure, but no one is talking to you about it. This is something that in our office we come across every single day. And here you go. It is your retirement plan or your IRA. So I want you to think about this. Let's say that you have an IRA, or maybe it's a 401k, or maybe it's a 403b, a 457, whatever it is. You have a retirement plan. And you get your statement every month, every quarter, whenever it comes, and you open it up and you say, wow, look at this. You open up the envelope, you look at, oh, check this out, the market's doing great, I've been putting money in, and you say to yourself, look at this, I have $500,000 in my retirement plan. Maybe that happened to you. Cool, right? You are on your way to Easy Street. You are really accumulating quite a sum in your retirement plan. Well, I have a little bit of bad news for you. This 500 grand right here, guess what? You think it's your money, but it's not. It's not your money. Only some of it is your money. If you actually did the math here, what you would learn is this $500,000 that's on your statement, it says, I know what you're thinking, it says, but wait a minute, there's my name, Joe Johnson, IRA, $500,000. I know that's what you're thinking, it's your money, right? No, because with an IRA, with a 401k, a 403b, any of these retirement plans, you have a silent partner. And that silent partner goes by the three letters IRS. Think about it. You cannot cash that thing in and get 500 grand. If you cash that in, you have to give some of that money to your partner, the IRS. And the more you have in here, the bigger the percentage that goes to your silent partner. So if you did the math right now, for most people it would look something like this. You'd say, well, let's see, I've got this 500K. Well, how does that really break down? Well, maybe 350 of it is yours. And maybe 150 of it belongs to the IRS. That's a problem. That's a real problem, because here's what you need to know. As time goes on, as your accounts get larger, and hey, you hope they're getting larger, I hope your accounts are getting larger, as your accounts are growing over time, what happens to the share over here that goes to the IRS? I'll tell you, it's a real simple math. Think about our tax system. The more you have, the higher your tax brackets, the more your tax. So as this account gets bigger, the IRS's portion goes up, so which means what happens to your portion? That's right, It goes down. And which way do you think tax rates are going in the future? Have you seen our deficit? I mean, right now, as I'm recording this, you've got Congress. They're having this sequestration thing. I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing it properly. All I know is it's this deal that they set up where they are forcing themselves to reduce their budget by $85 billion. Now that sounds like a lot of money, and they are freaking out. But you know, it's only 2.5% of the annual budget. But they're freaking out over $85 billion that they have to cut. Meanwhile, they're sitting over here with $16.9 trillion on their credit card. They don't seem to be too worried about that. So it doesn't take a genius to know that tax rates are probably going to be going up in the future, which makes this even worse. So here's my question for you. Here's my question. And I want to write this down because this is really important. My question is simply this. What is your IRA exit strategy? What is it? What strategy are you employing right now with your planning? What strategy has your advisor, whether it's your financial advisor, your tax advisor, what strategy have they recommended that you take advantage of to get your money out of this very highly tax-toxic, tax-exposed area and move it into something that's more tax-friendly? What's your strategy? You know, there are really only 3 places you can go. You can go into 1, just a regular account, 2, Roth conversion, or 3, life insurance. Any one of those are very tax-advantaged places to be. It makes a lot of sense for most people to be exiting IRAs, retirement plans, moving into more tax-advantaged accounts. What's your plan? You know, most people, if you are like most people, you don't have one. In fact, if you're like most people, nobody's even talking to you about it. Well, I got to ask you a simple question. If you had the ability to save thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars in taxes in the future, or for some of you, if you had the ability to save tens of thousands or even hundreds of thousands of taxes in the future just by understanding how all this works, wouldn't you want to know about it? That's why, once again, I'm always telling you, you need to talk to a retirement planning specialist. They understand this, and guess what? Coming up right after the break, I'm going to talk to one who understands how all this works. Stay tuned.
Let's talk about a customized retirement plan. Retiring today is not what it used to be. What works for your neighbor may not be best for you. Yet everywhere you turn, it seems like financial firms are giving cookie-cutter advice.
Your circumstances are different than anyone else's. As a chartered retirement planning counselor, my Retirement Roadmap Review is designed to uncover the must-know facts for your situation before we start implementing solutions.
It's one more reason that now, more than ever, you need to talk to a retirement planning specialist. Why not call the number on your screen right now? We'd love to talk to you about protecting your retirement. Traditionally, American retirees could look forward to 3 strong pillars of retirement income: a well-funded Social Security system, substantial corporate pensions with retiree health benefits, and a strong personal savings rate. Unfortunately, the booming population coming of retirement age has changed all that. Now, the responsibility for providing retirement income has largely shifted away from the government and employers to you. That's why we're offering a powerful, full-color special report, which explains the 10 most pressing variables you must consider when creating a sound retirement income strategy for the years ahead. You can get this informative report for only $4.95. Simply go to www.retiringwell.tv and click on Get Your Reports to order your copy today. But hurry, this is a limited time offer while supplies last. Let's talk about retirement income. Studies show that a large number of retirees are worried about running out of money. Broken promises from banks, Wall Street, and the folks in Washington, D.C. may have you worried about your own retirement security.
Having a predictable income stream is a key ingredient to protecting your retirement. One potential way to do that is to have your income stream based on math and not markets.
It's one more reason that now, more than ever, you need to talk to a retirement planning specialist. Why not call the number on your screen right now? We'd love to talk to you about protecting your retirement. And now, Ask the Expert, featuring Chartered Retirement Planning Counselor Tad Hill.
I'm here with Tad Hill, Chartered Retirement Planning Counselor and founder of Freedom Financial in Birmingham. Tad, this week we are talking about how it's tax season and how all these folks that have retirement plans, everybody's pretty much ignoring the tax impact that those things create. Tell me, in Birmingham, how do your clients view these retirement plans and what kinds of conversations have you had with them?
Well, Mike, I'll tell you, I don't think the people in Birmingham feel that differently than most people in other places. And that is, we all feel like that paying more taxes is not really something we want to be doing. But by the same token, most folks aren't sure how to avoid it. There's a difference between tax evasion and tax avoidance. And unfortunately for most people, even if you've got someone helping you figure out what you owe in taxes every year, oftentimes there's not a lot of conversation taking place about how to avoid taxes moving forward. And like you said, Mike, everybody's circumstances are different. So what might be a good strategy for one person isn't going to work very well for somebody else. So the conversations that I have with people are around what your circumstances are. If you're watching today, what are the things that you are facing from a tax perspective? Everybody's situations are a little different. And with all the laws that just got passed to avoid the fiscal cliff, now we're talking about how to solve problems moving forward in terms of how to reduce the country's deficit. And obviously our politicians are on two different sides of the aisle. So the conversations that we need to have, and Mike, the ones that I'm regularly having with our clients are, what are the ways we can structure your account so that when we start pulling money out, we're being as tax efficient as possible? So that's really most of the conversation, how to do that. And then if we're going to leave the money behind for our loved ones, now there's really an opportunity to be very good at avoiding taxation for passing it on. And a lot of our clients, that's very important to them. So those are really the main conversations we're having.
Now, I recognize, Tad, that tax planning is really specific, at least with retirement plans, for each and every person you talk to. So are there any general guidelines that you can share with our viewers?
Well, Mike, the main tip that I give people on tax planning, frankly, is the same tip that I'm giving people on all areas of retirement planning. It's critical that we have a plan, that we've thought through all these things. My biggest beef with the financial industry is that too many times people are selling products and services. Now, I'm not going to be disingenuous. Look, if you own a business, if you are working for a living, yes, it's important that you bring in revenue. So any business is faced with that. But it's how you go about structuring things that matters. It's not so much about selling a product as it is thinking through all of the things that are existing in your circumstances. So everybody's circumstances are different. So when we talk about tax planning, which is one of the 5 areas of planning, the questions that we're asking are, how do you have your money set aside? What are the areas that we have money in terms of the taxation? So you've got taxable dollars, you've got tax deferred dollars, and you've got tax-free dollars. So one of the tips that I'm giving people is, first, let's know where we are. And then let's look at how much money are we going to have to pull out every year once we're retired and we're replacing our paycheck. And where are the best sources to pull the money from? So it's critical that we understand these things. Now, another thing that happens very often with our clients is you may have amassed a lot of money, but once you retire, you're not really generating that much income. So we may be in a pretty low tax bracket, and there may be opportunities for us to take tax-deferred money and start moving it to a tax-free bucket, but not all at once, because oftentimes that creates a tax burden that we don't want to live with. But we can take advantage of the headroom that we've got in your marginal tax bracket to do that. And then the third tip is, if it's important to you to pass money on to your kids, now we've got some real opportunities to do tax planning, where when we pass the money on, we're leaving them tax-free accounts that we can protect from things like creditors, lawsuits, divorces. None of us wants to see our children get divorced, but even worse than that, we don't want to see our inheritance going to our ex-son-in-law or ex-daughter-in-law. So these are tough conversations to have with folks, but you know what? This is real life, and we want to do real planning.
As always, Tad, that was terrific, terrific information. You know, I'm sure that as the folks out there are watching the show, I'm sure a number of them in the Birmingham area at least are thinking to themselves that they would love to be able to sit down and visit with you face to face and, you know, have a conversation about some of their retirement planning. You know, whether it's income planning, investment planning, or tax planning like we're talking about today. So tell me, Tad, are you willing and able to visit with some of those folks? And if so, under what circumstances would you do so?
Well, Mike, look, here's the deal. For the folks watching today, you've probably got questions about your taxable circumstances. Is there a way to avoid taxes? Can we do things to start moving some money into some tax-free buckets? You know, just in general, have you thought through all the things that could affect your retirement and how to avoid the risks of your retirement getting devastated by some of the things that can get in the way? So if you want to know what are the answers to these questions for your circumstances, give the number on the screen a call. For everybody that calls in the next 15 minutes, I am willing to set aside time on my calendar, and I will waive my initial consultation fees. Now, I can't work for free, and I apologize for that, but I hope you understand. So when it comes time to do the planning, we do charge fees to do the planning, but you know what? Not everybody's a fit for us. And sometimes we're not a fit for everybody. So that initial consultation gives us a real good idea of, are there questions that need to be answered in your life that you would benefit from knowing the answers to? And if not, then at least we've thought through it. And if so, then we can move from there. So give the number on the screen a call. Everybody, in the next 15 minutes, I'm actually willing to waive my initial consultation fees and sit down with you and see if we can help.
Well, Tad, I'm sure the folks there in Birmingham really appreciate you doing that. So folks, again, you heard from Tad. If you want to take advantage of that offer, make sure you call the number on the screen in the next 15 minutes and get your opportunity to visit with him face to face. All right, I want to change gears here for just a minute because Tad, I remember, you know, we were talking and you were sharing with me yet another story of how you had visited with some folks. They had a problem that they came to you with, and you were able to help them with their planning. In fact, you made, in my opinion, a big difference in their lives. Would you be kind enough to share what you did, maybe share their circumstances, and kind of a rough outline of what you did for them for the rest of our viewers?
Well, Mike, the couple you're talking about are Paul and Nancy from Hoover, and they came in, and they're both on their second marriages. They both got kids from their previous marriages. They've got money in a lot of different accounts as it relates to the taxable nature of those dollars. Taxable money, tax-deferred money, tax-free money. They weren't really sure how to structure those things. The other thing that they both had were IRAs, and in one case, the ex-spouse was still the beneficiary on the IRA, but they thought because they had redone their will that that was going to fix the problem. And it won't. Your beneficiary designations supersede everything. So there were a lot of moving parts here and some real mistakes that could have really hurt them and the people that they love. The other thing was it was really important that they leave money to their kids on both sides. And so they needed to structure ways to make sure they were taken care of have, and they were being as tax efficient as possible, but make sure that their kids and grandkids also got the benefit of what they had worked so hard to accomplish throughout their life. So what we were able to do by doing planning, and planning is about asking the right questions and really sitting down and looking through everything and thinking through everything. What are the things that we need to think about, and how do we structure things to minimize your taxes, make sure that you haven't made any mistakes in the paperwork that you've put together, and how do we pass things on as tax efficiently as possible? We were able to structure those things for Paul and Nancy, and now their plan's going to work the way they want it to.
You know, Tad, you really, truly do make a difference in the lives of the people in the Birmingham area. So folks, again, if you want to take advantage of meeting with Tad, you know, he made that offer for you, call the number on the screen. Make sure you do. I don't want to see you miss out on visiting with someone like Tad Hill, who is a true retirement planning specialist. Hi, Michael Reese here, and you know, what I found is in that critical period, the 5 years before retirement, all the way to the 5 years after retirement, in that 10-year period, I find that over and over again, Americans are making mistakes with their financial planning that, quite frankly, are easily avoided. And it really almost breaks my heart, because if you make little mistakes in this period of time, you can have huge consequences. So in order to help you not make those mistakes, I've put together a simple website with some free videos from me to you to help you be smart about your planning. The website is called 3mistakes.com. It's the number 3 spelled out, T-H-R-E-E, 3mistakes.com. Why don't you go there today? Hi Birmingham, Mike Reese here, and I have to tell you, I think you're very fortunate, because one of the nation's top retirement planning experts is right there in your neck of the woods. It's my good friend Tad Hill. Tad and I, we get together with top financial advisors, gosh, 4 or 5 times a year anyway,
least, yeah,
just to brainstorm, figure out how we can better help you. Tad, why don't you take a moment and share with the folks how you and Freedom Financial helps people with their retirement planning in Birmingham.
Well, Mike, as you know, we're chartered retirement planning counselors. So what we do is we sit down with you and help you put together a plan to secure your retirement, so you have peace of mind and can accomplish all the goals that you want during your retirement years. And it's about understanding what questions to ask and putting that plan together. So for the folks that call the 800 number, I'm willing to set aside some time on my calendar to sit down and do exactly that. Review your situation and help you know what needs to happen to secure your retirement.
Folks, call that number now. Welcome back to Retiring Well, where it's our job to help you enjoy financial security in any economy. Alrighty, we've reached towards the end of our show today, and I promised you that I would share a great IRA blow-up story with you. And you know, why do I spend time on these stories? You know, the answer is really simple, because you know, I know that you think your 401k, 403b, 457 plan, your IRA, your simple IRA, whatever it is, I'm sure you think your retirement plans are pretty simple. I mean, how hard can they possibly be? You open up the account, you name your beneficiaries, you put some money in, you pick your funds, and off you go. And we all think that. We all think it's so simple. But what you don't realize is, in my hands right here are 116 pages of IRS Publication 590. These are all the rules, actually not even all of them, part of the rules that have to do with IRAs. Now, you want to add 401ks and 403bs on top of it? It's a lot of pages, right? Get rid of that thing. Next, I have here, this is my stack of some of the most recent tax court rulings on retirement plans. These things are happening all the time. As you can tell, I have hundreds of pages here of different tax court rulings, and I've got one of them I want to read to you. So this week, we're going to share the story of something called Herring versus Campbell. And this was dated August 17th, 2012. So let's share with you kind of what's going on here. We have John Hunter, who worked for Marathon Oil Company. He was in their retirement plan, their 401k plan. And this plan allowed him to name both a primary and secondary beneficiary, which he did. He named his wife Joyce as the primary, but he did not name a contingent beneficiary. Now, that's a big mistake. Make sure when you're naming beneficiaries, you want to name both a primary and a secondary. Anyway, his wife Joyce dies in 2004, and he did not update his beneficiary arrangements. Very, very common mistake. John then dies a year later in 2005. Now, by the way, think about this. He died in 2005. Here was all the way 2012. It took 7 years to settle this case. 7 years and tens of thousands of dollars in attorney fees, you can bet. All right, he dies. He has no primary beneficiary because his spouse already predeceased him. He has no secondary or contingent beneficiaries because he didn't name any. And so his plan, the 401k plan, had a default in place. It said, all right, if somebody dies in this circumstance, number one, the money goes to a surviving spouse. Nope, didn't have any of those. She was gone. 2, surviving children. 3, surviving parents, then brothers, sisters, estate, etc. Now, the wife died, so the plan's next default beneficiary was his surviving children. Now, what happened was, he didn't have any biological children. He had 2 stepsons. And in this case, all of the estate planning documents said very clearly, that those 2 boys, they got everything. If mom was gone, everything went to mom, and if mom was gone, then everything goes to those 2 boys. So the will said that, the trust said that, everything said that. But because they were stepsons, they did not get the money. In fact, what happened was the employer plan administrator, Eileen Campbell, basically said, no, it's $300 grand. You don't get the money. You're not his biological children. So, of course, what happens? The kids sued. And what was happening, it went through all the tax court. When all was said and done, guess what? They lost. 7 years of paying attorneys, only to lose. The plan was very clear. John messed up. The kids got disinherited. They lost out on $300 grand. And that, my friends, is where a little mistake can create huge, huge problems. All right, that's another reason that I tell you, make sure you visit with a qualified retirement planning specialist. That's our show this week, folks. I hope you enjoyed it. I look forward to seeing you again next week.
The preceding program was sponsored by Freedom Financial Group, Greater Birmingham's premier retirement planning specialists.